Hi everyone, hope you are all doing good. So today we are going to cover a new topic, that is for each loop. In our last video we have covered for loop, and today we are going to cover for each loop. So it's quite similar to for loop. The only difference between for loop and for each loop is, like in for each loop we need not to mention about the increment, decrement or the size of that particular loop. So if you remember, in our last video we have covered for loop. So traditional for loop is like something like this. This is the basic syntax of for loop, which we covered in our last video. So here we need to initiate the values, like from where it start. It start from 0, it go till 10, and it's an increment. So we need to mention all these things. But there are some scenarios as we move towards our advanced versions. We will go through collections framework of Java. So there we will see that there are few scenarios, and in runtime or in industry standard also we are not using this loop because this is obsolete. Why we are not using this loop? Because sometimes we are getting the values runtime values we are getting from some. You can take an example of Selenium where we are capturing the elements of a page. So we are not sure how many elements are there, like 10, 20, 50, 13. So in that case we cannot use this loop because size, here we are not sure about the size. And the other thing is this increment and decrement thing we need not to mention, because we only need to traverse through that particular array or array list or wherever the data is being stored. So basically to traverse through that particular array or array list, we use for each loop. So for each loop is, first advantage is it's easier to use. The syntax is quite easy. The other advantage is you need not to mention about this increment or decrement thing. So syntax wise is also it's easy. Basically its main purpose is to traverse through that particular array. So syntax of for each loop is this int I colon and a. That's it. So this int I should traverse through this a. This a should be anything like this. This can be an array list. This can be an array where the size doesn't matter. If the size is more than 500 or maybe 100, 10, 20, because it's dynamic, we are assuming that it's a dynamic in nature. We need not to mention about the size. We need not to capture the size like this, and we need not to instruct the for loop about increment or decrement thing. So that's the main advantage of for loop. So let's quickly go to Eclipse and create a program where we will traverse through one array and see how it works in real time. So this is basic class for each array. Inside main method, let's create one array. I know we have not covered an array in our videos, but this is just for an understanding. In our coming videos we will cover array list, everything in detail. But as of now you can just understand how it works and why we use for each loop. What is the purpose of using for each loop instead of conventional for loop? So in this way you can create an array. So this is an integer array because we have mentioned this integer. A is the name of that array. Size we have not mentioned here, and these are the values inside this array. As this is an integer array, we have to mention the integer values only. So yeah, our array is created. Now next thing is we need to traverse through this array. So let's say we are not sure how many values are there, 3, 4, 15, 20, and we just need to get all the values so that we can do our operations. Like in runtime, when most of the time we are checking that if we are getting that particular value, then this particular automation test case is pass or not pass, and then we do next thing using for loop, if condition, else conditions. So basically in order to process those things, we need to traverse, we need to get all the values inside that array. For that we use for each loop. These are integer values, so we are using int here, int I colon a. That's it. this is the basic syntax of for each loop. So once we have created this for each loop, next statement is we need to print all the values so that we can see what all things are coming inside this array. So what is happening here is like this integer I is traversing through array A, and now when we print this value, it should display all the values which are inside this array. So let's quickly execute this. It should print all the values, this 10, 15, 16, whatever it is. So it's dynamic in nature. If in coming days this array increase, decrease or something like that, it does not affect our programming or does not affect any conditions. That's the main advantage of using for each loop. See, all the values we are getting here. So it's quite easy. We need not to mention the size. We need not to mention about that increment decrement thing. It's by default traversing through all the values and giving you all the values. So after this, what we have, we can use the same logic for array list also. In my next video, I will cover that array list. So I will cover that array list topic in our next video. But here a basic understanding is like array is being created, then for each loop where we are traversing through all the values, and then we are printing the values. So in one more thing which I want to cover here is like, let's say I add one condition here. If I is equal to take any value like 18, then it will show you this message, and simply comment this thing. So if this array contains 18, then only this message will print, else it will not print. So value matches because this array has 18 inside it. One more thing we can do it, like a good practice is, once you achieve this particular condition, we can use break. In our previous video also we have covered this when we covered switch statement. You can check my channel. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe it and you can see that video where I have explained detailed about break, why we use break, default, switch statement, if else statements. So we are using the same logic here. Now what is happening, this particular array has all these values. So once this for loop start traversing through this array, we have added one more condition, like if it sees the values 18, then it will print this thing and break. It need not to, it will not traverse through all the values. Once it will see this 18, it will stop executing it. So we can see that thing, and let's try. We can see that thing, or we can simply try to print values here. See, so what is happening here is like this loop start executing it. First of all, it prints this 10 because this particular condition is not getting true. Hope you understand this concept. It's a bit complex if you are new to the Java, but I try to explain it. So first of all, this loop starts, it see value 10, this condition is not getting true, so it printing this thing, that is all value 10. Next thing, it sees 15, so it's printing 15. Similarly 16, 17, but after 17 you can see that it's not printing 18 or 218. Why? Because this condition is getting true. This condition is getting true, so immediately we use break. So break will terminate Once we achieve this particular condition, break will terminate the flow. Before terminating the flow, we have print this value matches. So hope you understand this concept. In this way, we can create our logics as well as multiple conditions where we are getting the data from somewhere. Using for loop, we will traverse through those values, as well as we can use multiple if conditions, else condition to achieve our logic. So best practice is used to use break, because we are not sure. This is just an example, but in runtime, maybe we are getting 200 values or 500 values from, let's take an example of Excel sheet. We are reading the values from Excel and storing them in an array or array list. So why to, unnecessarily continue the flow? Even if we not use this break, it's fine, but it will keep on executing and it will show you all the values. I'll give you one example. Let's say if we do this, so in this case, what is happening? This loop will print this value match, and again it will keep on rotating, keep on traversing through all the values. So that's not a good practice, because we are looking for a particular value inside that array. So if you see these 18 and 218, whatever the value is there, it's not of our use. So why to keep on traversing that loop? That's not a good practice. It will increase your execution time, and it's not a good way of doing the code. So hope you like this concept of for each loop. If you like this, do like, share, subscribe, and let me know what is your feedback on the comment section. If you are new to this channel, subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for watching the video. Thank you.